If you are responsible for hiring or interviewing software developers, you may want to watch this video. Now, during my short life on this planet, I did have the opportunity to hire a lot of coders. And being an experienced programmer myself, I know exactly what values a great developer must possess. Now, of course, knowing what a great developer is one thing, but being able to figure these things out during an interview, that's a whole different story. So I have come up with a way to figure out during the interview process if a programmer has what it takes to be exceptionally good. I'm going to share that with you so you know exactly how to pick those cherries out of the bunch. So first of all, we have to understand what are we looking for in a great software developer? What are the qualities that make one a top-tier coder? Now, if you have little to do with software development and you were given a task to recruit someone who does, you may think, well, the more languages he knows or the more projects he has worked on, maybe a diploma from a good university, or just whatever other 100 things that society has forced you to believe. Actually, we're only looking for 5 things in a great software developer. First, an above average ability to consume knowledge and learn quickly, preferably on your own. Now, coding is an ever-evolving job. You will be hit with things you don't know how to do or just new material from every angle on a daily basis. Therefore, it's extremely important that you are able to learn and understand material quickly. And apart from that, programming technologies evolve very quickly, so always being on top of things is essential. Number 2, highly logical thinking, i.e. if a person has a logical explanation for basically everything he does or does something in a specific way, that's the guy or gal you want. If going to a grocery store, going through the aisles, the person will come up with the most optimal way of how to get everything he needs by just walking the shortest distance, that's the quality we're looking for. Number 3, an ability to anticipate potential issues and pitfalls. This is an extremely important quality for a developer to possess because it's going to allow them to anticipate issues in their code. This is a core difference between a good and a great developer. Now you may think, we have testers to find the issues devs miss. Well, often enough actually in coding there occur very unique scenarios that require for a miraculous alignment of conditions to occur at the same time for an issue to pop up. So it's very likely that the testers won't even be able to find these issues. A great developer 9 times out of 10 will anticipate the issue while coding and will implement a fix before it even becomes a problem. Number 4, ability to Google like a badass. Now you may think when coders go to university they learn like programming languages or best practices or something like that. Now if a coder went to school and learned exactly that, I would actually consider that person to be a pretty bad coder, because great coders, they learn how to Google. And that's it, and that's the truth, because you will never be able to cram all of that information you come across on a daily basis into your head. Now, a great developer learns about a lot of things, but he learns about them very little, just the main principles. So when he comes into a problem in a real-life situation, he knows what kind of things he could use to solve this problem, and he could Google how to implement those things that he doesn't know, but he will know what exactly to look for. Number 5, passion. Now that's a no-brainer. I mean, if I have to tell you that a person you're hiring has to have passion, then you probably shouldn't be hiring in the first place. Okay, so now we established what we are looking for in a developer. Now, how can we figure out if a person has these qualities in an interview? So first on the list, ability to consume knowledge. Now, what I do here is I simply ask a person about their studies and mainly how they study. The main thing I want to find out here is, were they grinding to go through college or were they winging it most of the time? You don't want grinders. You want people who read to understand. They may skip half a text just to save time and get to the important part, but as long as they understand the subject, that is what matters. You may also ask them what do they like doing in their spare time. Some people might say, I like learning new things, and that's good. You may also ask them about any special or unique skills they learned, like Rubik's Cube or ukulele or something like that, that would show you that the person actually took the time to learn some skill himself. And one final thing on this topic, if you give me 2 developers, one with a diploma from a prestige university and another who is a self-taught guy, and I have no other information about them, I will always go with the self-taught one, because that both tells me that he is able to consume information and learn, and that he is passionate. Number 2, highly logical thinking. Now, what you may do here is just plain and simple ask a person if he does something in a different way than it's commonly accepted, just because it's more logical to him, and get him to explain what that is. You may both get a good laugh out of it. Like, just for example, something that I do is I always empty the bottom drawer of a dishwasher first, just in case there's like a cup turned over at the top drawer that may potentially spill over and just dirty the bottom dishes. So things like that. Now, this is just a simple approach, but clearly there are better ways to test if a person has the logical and critical thinking that you are looking for. Like, for example, I'm sure everyone's heard about these brain teasers that Google or Amazon or Facebook give to their employees, right? Now, you just may give them a brain teaser in your own interview to solve and just figure out how logically thinking they are in this fashion. Now, of course, in the interview, you may not have too much time, so make sure to not give something that's too difficult. Also, make sure to rotate, have at least a few of them, because these brain teasers, people talk, they get on the internet, and most of those brain teasers, they're already out there and people just know the answer without even thinking about it. You may even come up with something yourself. Like, for example, one that I used to really like that I think got too mainstream now is the one with the coins, where you have 8 coins and one coin is of different weight, and you have the scale, where it goes like this, and you have to tell me what's the minimum amount of weighings that you have to do to figure out which coin has that different weight. So, just something like that. Now, 3, anticipating issues, and 4, Googling can be best tested with a simple coding task. Now, if you're not qualified to create a task like this yourself, you may want to get some help from other developers on your team. But the idea here would be to give a candidate a task with a programming language that they don't know. And you may give them, let's say, 3 or 5 Googling attempts. Now, for this, you have to make sure you have everything set up and ready for the candidate to actually go ahead and code. You don't want them to go ahead and install the frameworks necessary to use that programming language. So make sure to have that ready, and make sure to have the task be not too difficult, because still, that's the language they don't know, and you want to test how well they can Google and how well they can anticipate issues. So make sure to also include some nuance to the task that maybe not everyone would catch and maybe not everyone would implement correctly. And just test these 2 things, and don't judge the developer too harshly if the program doesn't build or something like that happens. Remember, that's a programming language they don't know. Now, you may get other developers from your team to actually evaluate him if you don't really have the qualifications for that yourself. And mainly remember that your goal here is to evaluate how good a candidate is at Googling and finding information in general, which kind of goes back to number 1 as well. And finally, number 5, passion. Now here, just plain and simple, ask the candidate about any projects that he's doing outside of work. If they build an app for fun, that's great. It shows they love coding. Also, you can ask them about their aspirations in life. What do they want to accomplish? Just like the big picture things. Become a millionaire, or start your own company, create a full artificial intelligence. You name it. This will allow you to understand how passionate a person is in life. Now, I know this may sound counterintuitive. If a person says he wants to start his own company in the next 3 years and now you have to hire him, you may want him to stick with you for the long run. But I'm not talking about hiring grinders here that work for you for the rest of their lives. I'm talking about exceptional talent. And if it means you only get that great talent for 3 years, so be it. Being great, they will bring 1,000 times more to the table in just those 3 years than a regular grinder will in 15 years. Unfortunately, you have to take a risk on great talent, and that's the thing about greatness. It's likely that they will outgrow your company eventually. So on this perfect topic, it's probably the best time to wrap this video up. Oh, I almost forgot, there's one extra tip I wanted to give you. Not about hiring devs, about hiring anyone in general. It's kind of a psychological trick, but try it and see how well it works. So when you sit down with a candidate for an interview and you have the small talk out of the way, take your phone, put it next to your ear and say, so if I called your old boss right now, what would he tell me about you? Just make sure to do this with an actual phone. You will be surprised how well this works. It will actually trick the person into thinking that you might actually call their old boss and ask about them. And that's when they will just cut all the bullshit and they will give you the straight answer. And 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be something like, you know, he would probably say that I was one of the best developers out there, but I was late like 90% of the time. It's a fun and rather harmless trick that will actually give you a lot of truthful information about your candidate. All right, now it's definitely time to wrap up. Let me know in the comments below if you have some good advice, or maybe you're using some cool tricks to pick the best developers when you're hiring. Thank you for sitting there and listening to me blab. I sure hope this was not time wasted for you. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and now go and hire your next best talent. Bye!